Now, you can see these point bubbles here appearing on the team's bonus line. So that one disappeared right as I tried to circle it.
Yeah, and so I think we need to explain to the audience how this all works, because we keep adding more and more icons onto this tool, and I think they're all iconed out at this point. So this is actually a really important piece of collaborative information that these teams share with each other. Up to this point, collaboration that we've seen has been forecast, right? What spectrum you're going to use in the future. But now we're actually seeing the teams tell each other how well they're doing in the spectrum. And in this game, that translates to how well they're scoring.
Right, so for example, Anderson's is currently scoring 3 points and also telling everybody else we're scoring 3 points. Whereas Erebus, for example, is saying we're scoring 9 points, but actually back here. Now that doesn't necessarily mean that Erebus is doing the wrong thing. It might be that they're, for example, forecasting, they anticipate they win 9 points.
They might know they're going to be there in just a second.
Right, so you can't necessarily read this as inaccurate information or misinformation. But for purposes of what we're going to look at here, it's important to understand this is sort of a concept of error bars. So, for example, right where we've stopped, right now, there's an error bar with Zelenium, who is scoring 0 but reporting 5. So, Paul, what happens when Zelenium gets angry?
I've heard that you wouldn't like it when Zelenium gets angry, Ben.
Yeah, let's go ahead and continue, Craig. Zelenium's currently at 0. Zelenium gets angry.
Okay, and here they go.
And we're going to see Zelenium, Bruce Banner goes away, and out comes Hulk. And it works for them, right?
They were able to go from 0, and they're back up flirting with the bonus line here, Ben.
Right, but look at what happened. Anderson's got Hulk smashed in the process.
Yeah, that is unfortunate for Team Anderson's here.
Yeah, and there's a lot of sort of error bars, right, in what we're seeing. Right, with, for example, Erebus reporting at threshold but being below it. Zelenium reporting at threshold but being below it. Anderson's reporting near threshold but being down here at 0.
Right, okay, so for our non-Python fans here, Anderson's is mortally wounded but saying everything is just fine.
Right. So, right, they're saying it's just a flesh wound, but really missing an arm.
Right.
But the question is, why would Zelenium change their behavior?
Yeah.
Right? They've Hulk smashed Anderson's, knocked them down to 0, but as far as they know, the Andersons are actually pretty close to the bonus threshold.
Yeah, Ben, we know, and we've already seen in this competition, we've seen Zelenium come back and try and help out that weaker performing team to make sure the spectrum is fairly shared. But in this case, Anderson's is right in the neighborhood of the ensemble line there, Ben, and
right.
So they've got no reason to come back at all. As far as they're concerned, they're in Hulk mode and everything's working great.
Right. Now, you might ask, okay, I'm sort of giving Zelenium a hard time here for Hulk smashing Anderson's. How do I actually know that it's them? We can do this by just looking at Zelenium and Anderson's. Craig, can you move to my other view here in the spectrum? And what we're going to see, Paul, is everywhere the Andersons is, since they are using substantially less spectrum than Zelenium, we also see Zelenium. Right. They're clearly right on top of each other, pretty much everywhere Anderson's is trying to use.
Yeah, so I think it's obvious that Anderson's currently scoring 0 because Zelenium is near the bonus line.
Right, now Craig, can you please continue the match? So I actually think what happens here is that the Andersons has lost command and control of their network. Because you saw them just report 7 and it disappeared, and now they don't report anything.
Right, so the audience may have missed that, but we saw that little 7 bubble disappear from Anderson's. This means right now they're not telling the other teams anything. So these other 4 radio networks have no idea how well Anderson's is doing. So they've got very little to react to right now, and probably are going to react just to that last report that they heard.
Right, which was pretty much at bonus threshold.
Yep.
So Craig, let's continue the match. We're going to move into stage 2 here. And we know the Andersons knows how to do this, right? They've made it this far. So this isn't like a thing that they don't know how to do. It's just that something has happened within the network. Now, this is a very difficult scenario, right? We just lost a substantial chunk of spectrum, narrowing them down.
Right. Yeah, we just cut the spectrum in half, so a lot more to a lot of difficulties here, Ben. But still not seeing a lot of reporting here from Anderson's.
Right. Everyone else is saying, "Hey, I'm at threshold or better," but we're not hearing from the Andersons. And the last time we did hear from Andersons, it was somewhere in the vicinity.
Right.
Okay, so Craig, let's go ahead and continue. So at this point, it looks like this Anderson starts reporting 4.
Okay, there
And
they
actually,
go.
they report it several times. And when they do that, that's the first time they're
Now
able.
look, Selenium has come back,
Right, and
Erebus
Airbus
has
comes
come
back. So as Anderson's manages to like get a flag up and say, hey, we're actually not doing that well. We need help. And we saw other teams react to that.
But I think it's probably too little too late in this particular stage of this match, Ben. So we should see how it plays out in the
Yeah. So Craig, go ahead and continue. So we're moving into stage 3 here.
We're
And
going to once again cut the bandwidth of this scenario in half. So
Right.
even more challenging.
And unfortunately, I just don't think the Andersons are able to recover the command and control of the network. You see them start reporting 12,
Yep.
right? But it doesn't actually reflect how well the network's actually doing. So what we've wound up here with, I think due to the complexity and difficulty of this scenario, really is that Andersons haven't called for help. No one knows they need help. And so no one's reacting to it. And they end up totally on their own.
Yeah, and I think this is actually a really interesting way to highlight collaboration, sort of from the negative position here, right? Because the collaborative information they were sharing had errors, there was misinformation, it was wrong, the teams weren't reacting the way that maybe we would expect them to. And so we can see how important the collaborative information is to these dynamic radio systems because they're not shuffling spectrum, coming back and helping Team Andersons out.
Right, it's the negative proof of how important this thing is.
Absolutely.